Uber Mahogany, at home with nature. Imagine 9 acres of lush greenery. Wake up to the gentle chirping of the birds. Watch the rays of the sun filter in. The smell of Mother Earth as you rest in her lap. For Mr. Kishore Reddy, losing this natural miracle would in no way justify the need for shelter. The beauty of nature may never be replaced by anything man-made.
Going back to my first visit to the property, as soon as I entered into the property, I felt, wow, amazing it is. Very calm, natural, beautiful it was. Whole place was with the natural sounds, cool breeze. So I felt I'm totally in a different world.
Mana Projects, Imagineering the Future. The real estate industry is intensely competitive. Preparedness, foresight, and a consumer-centric approach are essential to gain trust with clients. At Mana Projects, we are committed to quality. Our goal is to deliver projects that meet the needs of our customers while aligning to the highest standards prevalent in our industry. Mana Jardin launched our groundbreaking idea of landscape balconies in every apartment. With plenty of green space integrated into the project, it has won several awards, including Environment Friendly Project of the Year. Our commitment and quality output has not gone unnoticed. They've resulted in widespread recognition for our sustainable design, innovative landscapes, and eco-friendliness, for which we have received several prestigious awards. Not a single tree would be cut down. With this in mind, top-level architects from all over were invited to participate with one thought: how could we coexist with nature? Renowned for their excellence, Architecture Paradigm was shortlisted for their experience with green projects. Mr. Kishore Reddy had found the perfect partner to bring his vision to life for Uber Mahogany.
As an architect, it is a very, very strong context that one has to deal with and make sense. And how do you build in such kind of environments which are very sensitive, at the same time, being able to make a habitable living space. Whichever axis you turned around, there were beautiful views, beautiful vistas, and the shade of the entire canopy of the trees created such a wonderful texture on the floor, which made a sense of being in a spiritual world.
I was quite baffled to think about that there is something like this in Bangalore. Though this is man-made, it had a quality to it, the sense of this grid. So this whole idea of inhabiting this landscape was critical to the way we thought about design.
So we started the process of understanding the tree, the context, the species that is there, and started involving the landscape architect, the horticulturist.
The mahogany tree is an evergreen tree. It can grow to anywhere between 70 to 80 feet. It has a taproot system, which means that the root system growth mirrors the growth above the ground. And this makes the tree extremely resistant and beautifully balanced. Since the lowest foundation of the structure is going to be at around 1.5 meter depth, the root system is going to be unaffected by the construction. And since it's mahogany tree, it's a hardwood tree, which means that there is going to be minimal sway. This is another advantage for us.
We were simultaneously kind of documenting the whole process very, very sensitively of seeing and sketching few projects that we had done earlier, documenting projects that are done in the world, understanding them, and some of the projects that where we had saved trees and understood how we went about it. But then we realized that there is another challenge here, is that of how do you build it, how do you make it buildable.
After discussion with the services and the electrical consultant, we founded a system wherein using their trenches as a structural system for us, and partly embedded into the ground, and then overlaying our structural system, which is linear, which has a reference to the build form, and making a grid which is diagonally very rigid enough. This whole system doesn't interfere with the growth of the trees, and the construction pace also can be managed much faster.
The proposed structure at Uber Mahogany for our villas is a composite structure, which is a much superior form of construction, which is used worldwide in most of the iconic buildings. The advantages of using a composite structure are it maximizes on the best features of each material that's being used. Concrete has a high compressive strength, and your steel has a very high tensile strength. So both these features are utilized to the maximum. Since the columns are sleeker, they can be accommodated within the walls, and you don't see columns at all. And even the services which are taken through the walls, since it has got a cavity between the two walls, and just for that reason, you can reroute the wiring and your plumbing lines anytime without causing any damage to the walls. And another advantage is, again, you can always reuse the materials that you used.
The spread of the branches will be controlled with periodic pruning. The leaves will give shade during summer, and in winter, the shedding of the leaves will give maximum sunlight. Every tree at the site is numbered and records are maintained. After construction, drip irrigation will be installed so that the residents need not worry about maintenance.
Even in the houses, what we achieved, where we were worried about what do you see at the ground plane, what do you see at upper plane, and what do you see at the next plane. So at every plane is a different experience. At one plane you see an avenue of trees, at another plane you are within the branches of the tree. Similar thought process went into detailing of each and every space, and involved a landscape architect to create exciting ideas which would really make sense for a project like that.
Every villa has a private garden within the house. When the moment we come out from the deck overlooking the backyard of the house, we look at the soft landscape which has a tropical nature. This has a blending of tropical garden which we can have the experience at Malaysia, Thailand and subtropical regions of Asian countries. The dry landscape has a character of ruined and rustic effect. The boulders are randomly spaced in the rustic and ruined landscape, which brings the natural setting for the overall backyard landscape.
Kishore came up with a very interesting thought that instead of trying to create this public realm, what happens if we create another realm which is that of a private domain, something like a backyard. And the central avenue was a public realm, and then you move into a street which is your private realm, and then you enter each house, and then you again get a very private domain with like your living room opening out to a deck, and deck in turn opens out to about 6 to 9 trees within your property, and you enjoy the shade of it. Imagine you're having a barbecue there, imagine you're having a party there. It is a wonderful thought that we kind of started contemplating on. So we kind of figured out that we need to balance between privacy and porosity. We wanted it to be porous because the views would be very amazing. So what we did is we did 2 blank walls on the 2 sides, but the other 2 sides were totally porous, where you get continuous views in whichever direction you look at. In turn, actually showing the layer of trees, the avenue that we had in hand. So we started working on details of how one can have a kid zone where people can leave their kids at peace, and a sand pit, and we started thinking about what kind of clubhouse we should do and what level of views and vistas that we can create. So the clubhouse offered an opportunity where we could actually take all the sporting facility, the indoor sporting facility within the clubhouse, and finally put the pool on the top, on the terrace, so that you get an infinity edge and you kind of oversee the trees in front of you. You may have to get people who love nature to be part of the project rather than people who are not sensitive over the project.
Because we are so used to this matchbox living today. It's all about square feet and how much you pay for that square feet. And nobody actually enjoys the idea of living in these kind of conditions. So I think we are presented with a unique context to enjoy life. Like I said, create memories, which is fundamental to the idea of a house or a home in a city. But most of this nature is planned for the later, or it's seen to be accommodated after the buildings have been designed. But here, in this case, the landscape is already present, the nature is already present, and it's about how we inhabit this landscape well or sensitively. That is, would give rise to a new kind of a dialogue between how to build amidst nature.
Nestled beneath leafy canopies above, Living with nature is no longer an impossible dream. Mahogany makes it a reality.